It is now 6:30. Good evening. I call the Police Accountability Board meeting to order, and let everyone know that this meeting is being recorded. And the first item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. So do you have any additions, or if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
It has been moved. Do we have a second? It has been moved and second to approve the agenda. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Chair update since the last meeting. As you know, since the last meeting, we had the annual report presented to the county commissioners. Susan was there, and I think you were the other member there.
Yeah, Ed was it?
Yeah, Ed from the ACC. The chair of the ACC was also at that meeting, and we received a favorable response from the commissioners, and they wanted to convey to the members the appreciation for the job that we're doing here in terms of what our mission is and purpose. So the sheriff was there too. So do you have any comments regarding that or that meeting? The meeting for when we presented the annual report.
No, sir.
Okay.
I'm very pleased. Thank you.
Good, thank you. That's all I have as the update. I did inform the commissioners that I was not interested in the second term, so they were nice.
They said, we'll see.
Yeah, right, yeah. Okay, the complaint report. On the screen, you have the summary of the complaints that the Police Accountability Board received during the year 2024. You can see we received a total of 30 complaints, significantly down from the year before. 26 of the 30 complaints were reviewed by the ACC. 2 were not eligible for review, and that could be for reasons such as not within our jurisdiction. For instance, if there was a complaint about a state police, they have a different review board to go to. Or if a complaint related to an issue that occurred before July 1st of 2022, we would not address it. So those are some reasons why you would have a number there. The cases resulting in administrative charges, these are cases after review that we decided as the ACC to charge based on the disciplinary matrix we have adopted here that's consistent throughout the state. And we have 2 cases pending review. And the 4 cases that we reviewed for charging was in agreement with the findings that as a result of the investigation by the sheriff's office. This is just another view of that data I just talked about, and it gives you a little more detail about the reasons why some of the cases may not have been reviewed by us. Now, so far this year, since January 1st up until the 20th of February, we've received 2 cases so far, and those cases are pending review by the ACC. And this just the same view graphed versus just the numbers. Okay. I should have asked you if you had any update from the ACC. You don't have any?
No.
Okay, good. All right, the next item, any discussion on the numbers? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the recommendations that we're making to the sheriff's office And these recommendations come about as a result of the cases that are reviewed by the ACC and actions taken by the ACC or recommended actions or policies that need to be reviewed or developed by the sheriff's office. So the first recommendation is a periodic review of effective implementation of ADA training and procedures. We do have the procedures in place, and we're recommending just a periodic review as we interact with the public. Discussion on that one. Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion. Either you want to forward that to the sheriff's office for action or not.
I'll motion to forward it.
Move forward. Okay. There's been a motion and a second to forward that recommendation to the sheriff's office. Discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. The second recommendation is to provide the PAB-ACC complaints issued by an officer in reference to another officer's misconduct while dealing with the public. So this is a case where another officer either observed something, interacting of a police officer with the public, and they want to make a complaint. So that's the recommendation. How do you want to, any questions or clarification on what's here?
Yeah, I do have a clarifying question.
Okay.
Is that for us to review and have the ACC review, or just as an informational referral?
No, this would be treated as a complaint, like a complaint coming in from the public,
Right.
but this would be coming from a police, a sheriff's deputy.
The only
In
way
this
that it
case.
wouldn't go to the ACC is if they did mediation internally. Because if they do mediation with the public and an officer, then it doesn't come. They can also do mediation with an officer and an officer,
Correct.
and then it wouldn't come to the PAB-ACC.
Okay. Is that a recommendation you want to pass on? Did we vote on that? We didn't vote on this one.
No, we-
Okay. So is this one we want to pass on to the sheriff's office? If you do,
Yes.
I'm fine with forwarding that recommendation.
so there's a motion?
Yep.
That's your motion?
Motion to.
Okay.
forward.
Second, okay. Discussion. Now, the one thing here that's different, and I would ask the sheriff's office in your review of this, this also could be a performance issue that's handled today internally within the sheriff's office. And this actually opens up another avenue for a complaint. So I'd like to see some words on that too.
Okay, thank you.
Your reaction to that. All in favor of the motion? Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Next item on the new business is trending. This is analysis of case reviews. I ask Susan to just update us on that. That is part of our requirement, obligation, or responsibility. Just explain a little bit about it, so see if we have any questions regarding that.
One thing that has come up numerous times is discussing trending of the complaints to establish what's going on, because ACC looks at the complaints in the bath, and they see them week by week, or, well, month by month. And then what we need to do is take those and see, are we having repeats? Are we having things continually occurring? And Wilson and I talked, and probably what we need to do is make a committee.
Yeah.
To take a look at these and establish some trending to be able to present. And from that trending, there might be recommendations that come out of that for the sheriff's office.
So I'm asking for anyone who would like to serve on this committee. And what we're looking for is, as we get these complaints and dispose of these complaints, whether charged or not charged, are there any types of complaints that are consistent enough that we can see a pattern? That would, that we want to discuss that pattern as to whether we want to make a recommendation to the sheriff's office to do something about it. Now, Susan and I had a long discussion about this, and one of the things that we're looking for patterns, we're looking for repetitive kinds of things that could have taken place. But the other thing we have to look for is a correlation. Whether, you may have 10 of the same complaints, but there's something unique about each one of them, and it may not be enough there for a trend, but that's why we want a committee to just look at it and see if we can develop any trends out of this.
I mean, you'll have raw data, but as Wilson says, the raw data may not be realistic to what's occurring in the sheriff's office. And so you need to go a little deeper than that, and we want to make sure that we're substantiating whatever trends we do come up with.
Yeah. Right now, we get the same type of recommendations, but we're doing it based on recommendations coming from Susan as our rep on the ACC. She's vice chair of the ACC. And when they look at the case, they're looking at patterns and also the case that's in front of them. So this will give us even more information to look at.
And this would be going back, when this is done, it'll be going back to the very beginning, to June of 21. 22.
July 22.
I was gonna give you an extra year. July of 22. So we'll take it back to there, so there's maybe 140 cases, 30 cases.
Yeah.
That would have to be looked at. So it's a little bit of work, but that's why we wanna do a committee, so that we can actually establish if there is repetitiveness and if there's something occurring that we see that we can present to the sheriff's office. Okay?
So if we could get
I'll
about
volunteer
three members to volunteer for it? Okay.
I'll
Lisa?
I'll volunteer as well. Wilson?
Okay.
Okay.
You, okay, as vice chair, you can chair that.
Oh, well, okay.
That way you won't
Chair
get a
that.
vote. But you can- Okay. So Mr. Jones. Okay,
And Lisa, okay.
Lisa. And- Okay. All right. Old business. You have the schedule, our schedule for this year in terms of the PAB meetings. As you know, we meet every quarter, so the next meeting's on May 28th. Then we have, what's that, August 27th. And the one on December 3rd is the asterisk tells us that because it falls on the week of Thanksgiving, we moved it to the following week. Okay, questions on that? Sheriff's Office? Give us a status update and your presentation of your report, your quarterly report.
Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing? Outstanding.
Good. Thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for your service to our community as you guys chair the Police Accountability Board. I just want to thanks for everything that you do in keeping our county safe and keeping us up to speed and stuff that we're doing and stuff that we can fix to make our sheriff's office better. So I'd say appreciate you, because we spend a lot of time outside going through things, and you guys give me suggestions that make us better. I just want to say thank you. This quarter is always kind of special to me because we do a lot of stuff that really doesn't deal with law enforcement. Giving back to our community is kind of close to my heart, because I like giving back to the kids. During Christmas times, we do the Toys for Tots. We do the Shop with a Cop at Outback every year, and you get to see the joy that some kids necessarily don't get to see at home, but the deputies are doing that on their free time, building our community relations. So that's kind of special to me. And during this quarter, it was busy, to say the least. But kind of key points I want to key on this annual report with our fourth quarter. But you can find this online too as well if there's anybody listening. But to develop legislation for concerning large neighborhood gatherings, speaking to the public, that's been a big issue, and we don't want that here in Calvert County when they're having huge parties in people's neighborhoods and not necessarily living there. So we kind of want to prevent that happening during the summer times. Some of the rental properties that they're out there, they rent those houses out for the weekend or whatnot, and have huge parties there, and it's just in neighborhoods and stuff like that. So kind of want to prevent that. We've been working on that as far as law goes, and trying to prevent that as well.
Sheriff, have we had any of those recently?
Not necessarily since we've cracked down on it.
Okay.
They were kind of going rampant the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think the state kind of got smart with that, and they've been putting laws in place. And I think John, the county attorney as well, has been working on that as well, so it doesn't occur here. So
Okay.
we are putting stuff in place to prevent that from happening. So they were charging people to get to buy tickets online, and you had to get to the parties, and it turned into a huge mess. And the neighborhoods were chaotic and stuff like that. So, and you have people in your neighborhood you've never seen before. I mean, people do call the sheriff's office, and that's why a good thing we live and work here, because when somebody does see something, and I ask everyone out there if they see something strange in your neighborhood, please call us so we can get on top of it. So they've been really good at that. Another key thing I want to highlight is that we've hosted meetings with the American Correctional Association to begin detention center policy review, to really dive down deep. We've kind of met like the CALIA, as Mr. Perrin, me and you have gotten that started, and the long process of getting that done. So that's, as we can see all the policy reviews coming in and getting up to speed with the CALIA standard, you can see how well it's working. We're about to be there within a year, hopefully, of getting that done. But we were doing this with our detention center as well too, to get a policy review, not just what we're doing, but also medically as well too.
Okay.
So that's a big plus and a positive, and I think I move in the right direction for all of us. As you can see, we put a lot of pictures in there that what we do out there each and every day, to highlight on some of the patrol bureau highlights. I mean, you see the amount of calls for service we've had just in the fourth quarter of 26,327 calls for service, and just in our little county. I mean, we're not 93,000 plus people. That's a lot of calls to go in. And what this includes too is also traffic stops out there that I know is a huge issue for speed on Route 4. I hear it every day. I get the emails, I get the phone calls, and we're really proactive on Route 4, and also the side streets. MSP helps us out as well. But I ask the public to watch your speed, stay off your cell phone, because I think a lot of that contributes to our accidents. As you can see, that I think it's still a high number at 520. Our roads are still small; they're the same size roads that when I grew up here, and the population has increased, and I don't really think our roads have kind of caught up to that. So please be careful out there. And DUI arrests is still huge, a big number. And that kind of came to light during our snowstorm, because during that snowstorm, people were stuck in the snow, and the snowstorm that we had just recently with the roadways, and we got DUI arrests out of that. So you had the snow, the icy roads, and on top of that, drinking while driving. It's something else, but it is happening out there. If you can get a ride, please. I think that's best for us, it's best for the public, and it's best for your well-being as well. As you
Sheriff,
can see,
when you look at the 4 quarters and calls for service or DWIs, do you see any quarter that's normally higher than another?
we do. I think the DUIs kind of spike in the fourth quarter because you have holiday parties, people drinking, going to parties in between that Thanksgiving, Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas. And then we see it increase as well when summertime, and you get the nice weather out there. You know, people wearing shorts and they want to get out and do hit the beach or whatnot. But I think that kind of induces the drinking. But all I ask, I don't care, just do it responsibly.
Right.
That's all I ask. And if you are, just call somebody. We do have a lot of young drivers on the roadway. We have a lot of, elderly drivers as well. And, it can be troublesome as we see, with all that on our roadway, as small as we are,
Yeah,
that I ask, please, if you have, just get a ride. So,
okay, thank you.
and I want to flip back to our drug enforcement unit. Overdoses have been down, and that's the key that we would like to see. My personal opinion on it, I think a lot of that stuff is not being reported as it used to, as far as Narcan being introduced to over-the-counter drug, and the deputies carry it as well. We've saved a lot of lives with Narcan getting to the scene and administer that drug to that person to revive them. So what we have seen is a different kind of drug shift of what people are using, and my goal is to keep that out of our schools, and because that does transition to our schools, and I get a lot of complaints what the schools have inside of them, so we want to crack down on the drugs and the drug use and stuff like that, but the overdoses have reduced over the years.
Okay,
So-
that's good news.
And I just want to follow up with the ending, and I know the State's Attorney Bob Harvey is here to speak upon this, but with all the data that we received, Calvert County was the lowest crime rate in the state. And I give that to the work of the deputies, the Maryland State Troopers, DNR, the State's Attorney's Office, and the most I give the credit to is the people that live here. So we care about what our neighborhoods look like, that we care about, it's what people call in, and you ask other sheriffs throughout the state. I think that a lot of people care of what they want to see, where they want to see our county go. And if you look, I get all the crime reports all around us, and it's kind of unique that we're all in the middle of that.
Yeah.
And we continue to maintain this kind of safety in our county. And I want to thank all of our deputies and officers that work here, and the State's Attorney's Office, and the people that, the citizens that live here. So
That's great.
that was a big, huge, at the end of the year to see that.
Well, I can
That is.
honestly say, Sheriff, that it doesn't matter what time of the day or evening or what day of the week it is that I leave my house to go somewhere, I always see your vehicles. And that's impressive. And it's really nice to be able to see they are out and around everywhere. And it doesn't matter what route you go on, you're gonna see your officers out.
And we put a lot of pressure on our deputies, and I think that it goes a long way to say, now, we have, law enforcement that's represents this board too as well, that kind of give you perspective of how to do the job, what it looks like. But some of those officers that sit on the board, they didn't have body cameras, they didn't have police accountability boards to deal with, but they're still going out there every day, and they're doing proactive policing. And that's different than I think other counties do. We're out there, we're stopping cars, we're visible out in our community, and you don't see the ATM thefts, you don't see the drug trafficking come through here. And to all the drug dealers out there, you can see it on their cell phones. They don't do their dirty work or deals in our county, because our state's attorney and our judges will put you in jail. And that's just proven this week. We had a lot of cases that they're being convicted, and they're put in jail, and they're serving time. And if we don't have that all together, that's just not me, the sheriff, this is what we want, but you have to have that all together. I just want people to know that. And the Police Accountability Board and the ACC, it represents a big part of that, because as you see throughout the state's deputies, other police officers, they shut down if they get a PAB board that hears complaints, and I give you all this stuff, and I think that we've been very vigilant, and I think we've been very transparent with all the stuff that we've given you. So, and I want a big transparent agency as well. So it's
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think there's a bill in Annapolis now which is requiring you to give us everything, and you serve on the ACC now. We get a lot of information from the emails, from the videos, the audios, and we have the information we need to make a decision.
correct. And if you guys have questions, we're always available to give you that input. So
Yeah. we've done
and
that too.
you hear some of the chatter out, some of the folks about we're not providing all that. I can honestly say we provide everything to you guys.
Yeah.
You guys get the case files, you guys get pretty much body camera, everything, so.
Emails, everything.
And
And
clearly,
we're on top of it, because I was in a meeting, I guess some of the counties that hadn't even heard a case yet. So, I mean, we've been rocking and rolling since I've been elected. This is my second year as sheriff. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been, from Jump Street, we've been proactive in y'all's way and giving you information, and I think that it's worked well.
and just to point out that the information is only available to those who have a need to know.
Correct.
So, like, no one on this, you're the only one right now on the PAB that gets to look at that information. I did when I was on the ACC also, but,
And I think some of the public, they're kind of confused on that, because the ACC hears the cases, they make recommendations for punishment,
yeah.
and you guys don't really get to see that, or what happens on that other board, kind of like.
Right.
And you try to explain it to somebody, but it's very confusing. They
Yeah,
don't really
we-
understand it.
We receive the complaint, the ACC makes the decision, and then we look for opportunities to enhance that relationship between law enforcement and the public by looking for any necessary changes that we see that the sheriff's office should consider making in order to eliminate something from occurring
And I
again.
thank you guys, because you guys gave me recommendation to make us better.
Yeah,
We've got a full-time person to do a policy review with that CALIA process, and we've been to the conference as well. I mean, it's every agency
Okay.
in the states basically was there that was certified to kind of network and what people are doing, what it looks like. So I'm happy it's going in the right direction, and
Good.
I'm satisfied it'll get done within the year, hopefully. But it is a lot of work. It is,
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you're going through with every policy, every word, what we do till we wake up, till we go home off duty. I mean, all that's spelled out in there, so.
yeah, and it pays off when the ACC is looking at what you have in place and whether you need to change something to make that relationship better.
Correct. And it's good to have another set of eyes on it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can view our policies right online, so we put that out there to the public as well.
Okay. All right.
Sheriff, I just have I guess it's a twofold question, but back to your school resource officers, and also your drug report. Are the resources officers seeing an uptick in our schools at all? And so that's one question. And then the other question is, how do you guys handle complaints that come in about the school resource officers, if there are any?
So, let me take that. So it depends on the time period you're talking with the schools, right? So the statistics are kind of all over the place. But year to year, school year, it seems to me, we're down this year in most things, especially most big things in the schools, so to speak. We can bring next time some of those numbers if that helps, and put that out. But I think we've got the new, what is the new board called? I can't remember the name. The safety committee, which is that seems to be up and running now. I think that there was some misinformation out there, and I think that some of that is quelled, and I think that we have started to get a handle on some of the bigger things, but no, I don't think there's any more now than there was. SRO complaints are handled the same way. They would go before their police officers. They would go before the PAB and ACC process, and they'd be handled the same way. We don't get too many though.
Yeah, I hadn't heard any, so.
A lot of that stuff is work hand in hand with the principal. Really getting to know how the system works. The principal runs the building, and that SRO works kind of side by side with that principal as far as what discipline looks like or what happens inside that school.
Yes, sir.
So Dr. Townsend, I give him a shout out. He's been very proactive with me. My goal is to have a deputy in every school, and it looks like we're going to get there by end
Okay.
of my first term. So
Good.
in talks with the commissioners and funding and stuff like that. It's not cheap,
Right.
but I think having that police car in the world that we live in, it's huge having a police officer in every school to keep our kids safe.
How many schools don't have
We're about 9 short,
Okay.
and that's including the CTA building and we have 5 elementary schools covered full-time, and there's 12 elementary schools, so.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we want to get covered CTA also as well. But Calvert High, they have a deputy there.
Right.
Calvert
Which is
Elementary is
close
right there,
enough,
so it's
right.
kind of, And CTA is kind of unique when they get kids, they're kind of rotating in and out.
Right.
To answer your question about the drugs, and if any parents are listening, we have a lot of parents in this room, the vaping is a huge issue. Easy to get in, easy to get out, it's very, you know, undetected, and then say to use that device inside the school. And some of the schools have put up the Halo devices to detect that in the bathrooms, because that seems where the kids go to use that. I was at Northern High School for their job fair today. A lot of good kids in there, a lot of good businesses there, and community networking there. It was awesome. But I ran into a building service worker there, had to replace the toilet in there because I guess the kid flushed 2 vapes down the toilet and it destroyed the toilet. But as he said, man, we change these out, you know, a couple times a week. But vaping is a huge issue. If anybody is listening to this, you know, I know some of the kids that the parents are trying to get them off of that, but the CASA has a good program to where we're trying to start up to try to get kids off of vaping, that necessarily, because some parents say they're addicted to them or whatnot, just like a cigarette or whatnot, not using it inside that school and getting them off of it, because it is harmful, and you can see the effects of we spell it out of what the effects have proven if you are vaping out there, but that is a huge issue inside of our schools. So, and the thing about it is they're putting a lot of those shops, it seems like, in every shopping center, so
Yeah.
kind of, almost, my brain, I'm like battling an uphill battle on this, because, I mean, you can buy them on Amazon, I believe. I don't vape, but I think they're really easy to get.
Yeah.
And those businesses, we do periodic checks on them. They're selling underage, and we get those complaints, and for most part, they're compliant.
Any other questions or comments for the sheriff? Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, sorry to see you leave, Mr. Wilson, but thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you. It's a joy to work with you.
Absolutely, and I'd like to touch on that as well. I
Okay.
mean, I just want to say thank you for professionalism.
Thank you.
And your insight, I think, made me a better person, a better sheriff, and I think your work is going to make us a better office.
I think, and I appreciate those comments. I feel that we've worked very well together. When we had disagreements, we were able to work through those, and
Just like a marriage, you're going to have a disagreement every now and again, but
yeah,
we work through them well, and I think that's what the PAB is designed to do. And just hearing, I mean, I'm not just standing on my box about this, but what the other state counties are dealing with, I think that we have a smooth process.
yeah.
As starting from when somebody can make a complaint to all the way to where we come to findings on it, so.
Right.
And
I think what's,
and a lot of, I've seen some counties that I've heard, I mean, I'm just giving, you guys can double check that, because you guys have the networking part of it. Is it PABs, ACCs that haven't heard cases yet? I mean,
I thought they all had at least, I know they've all been trained now. So some I know came on board late last year, and I'm not sure if maybe they're still trying to figure out how all these things work together. But we hit the ground running. Calvert, Charles, and St. Mary's were the 3 counties first trained ACC. And we have worked through a lot of concerns. When we first met, there were some concerns about the number of complaints, and we were encouraging to sit down and talk about that shouldn't matter. It's what we do with what we get and where are we going from that point.
correct.
And I feel that the decrease that we do see is because of our ability to work together. For you to, the Kalia piece, for example, and also the recommendations that we sit down and talk about the recommendations in an environment without really relating to any of the cases because we can't do it here. But it's been a pleasure to work with the sheriff's office, especially when you first came on board, and we agreed up front that we will work together and we'll show respect and be able to get things done together. We're able to do that.
Yeah,
I
it's gonna
appreciate
just get
that.
thrown in your lap right off, right there when you take the seat on the first day. I mean, that's, and then you know, everything else on top of that. But I think that you made that system go smoothly, and I like the fact that we get on cases we get the complaint, and it seems like they're out, you know, we're making findings on it within the time period, and I think a lot of folks are letting that overlap
Yeah.
and letting cases sit, and so, and that's not fair to the citizen, it's not fair to the deputy as well, so.
And we kind of overlooked that, missed that in the training about 30 days turnaround. We quickly caught up with that, and we're back on schedule now in terms of looking at these cases.
It's
and
crazy
getting-
how 30 days can go by. I mean, it's
It's
like we just
amazing.
had our last quarterly meeting, and here
Yeah.
we are, so.
Yeah.
Well, just
Okay.
bless, I know you're leading the church, saving souls out there, but and thank you for your service on that
Enjoying
as
it.
well. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, take care.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Mr. Chair, the rules would allow you to take a moment of privilege if you would like to hear from the state's attorney.
Okay. State's Attorney,
Well, good evening, everyone.
how are you, sir?
I'm Harvey, I'm the state's attorney. I'm not here to report on anything in particular. I wanted to show my support for the work that you all are doing. We have an MOU in place, which
You do?
has worked fantastically. I believe there's been a free flow of information between our agencies. I have a free flow of information with the sheriff's office. When a complaint arises, it's forwarded to me. We review it to determine whether or not the complaint rises to the level of criminal misconduct. If it does, we recommend that criminal charges be filed and we prosecute it. If it doesn't, then we will decline to prosecute. And I think you all may see the end result of some of that from, I don't know if the sheriff forwards over some of those letters that I sent
Yeah,
to
we
him, but it's working. Just to follow up on a couple of things, you talked about these so-called parties. I wouldn't really call them parties, they're more commercial enterprises. But I believe we did have one come to our attention over the summer through the offices of the county attorney. We got information that there was going to be a party in a neighborhood, that invitations had gone out. We were able to contact the homeowner, who knew nothing about the party whatsoever, and the homeowner put a quick stop to it, so we were able to head that off, and that's about all we've had in the last year or so. I also want to mention, there was some discussion about this, what's going on in the schools. The sheriff and I had a meeting last week with Dr. Townsell and his staff to work out procedures for investigating allegations of criminal misconduct that occur in the schools. The schools are somewhat unique. There are federal laws that are in place that protect students and protect their identities. And those laws have on occasion, from a law enforcement point of view, interfered with our ability to investigate. For example, if there are videos out there that depict alleged criminal activity that might have occurred in school property, we can't just automatically get those.
Right.
But we had a meeting, it was very productive. We worked out some arrangements to, I think, facilitate the provision of those materials to my office, and I've learned today that things seem to be moving forward. So those procedures are being put in place. Unfortunately, there is criminal activity occurring on school property, off of school property, school buses. So we're keeping an eye on those things, but the school board, superintendent and his staff have been fully cooperative.
That's good.
So
Good.
that's kind of what's going on. We're
Okay.
moving ahead and we're staying busy.
Thank you very much.
We've got a few cases on the docket, so.
I haven't seen any requests for changes to the MOU, so it
No,
must
sir.
be working.
No, sir.
Okay.
I think it's working quite well. Obviously, you can let us know if there's
Right.
anything going on that needs to be changed. We'll certainly work with you on that. Does anybody have any questions with me?
Any questions?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Okay. Anything else to come before us before we go to public comment?
I would like to take a quick moment and thank you for all of your hard work, for
Thank you.
getting this program that's been mandated up and running within this county, and for this county to set the example for the state, for all the other counties. And it's your dedication and your hard work that put it there, and I want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate those words. Thank you.
Ms. Benedict, a member of the Police Accountability Board, has joined us virtually and has her hand raised.
You hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Wilson, I wanted to thank you. I want to have a chance to thank you. You will be missed. And also to Susan, if you need an additional person for your committee, I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand, so I'm just letting you know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Susan. Just to clarify that, you're gonna chair that committee, and we have Lisa, Dawn, and Quentin on that committee. Okay. All right?
Dawn's on it?
Yeah, Dawn raised her hand.
Okay.
That's why I said you couldn't vote. Okay, public comment?
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Persons are welcome to address the Police Accountability Board on any matter germane to its scope of authority. Those addressing the board shall not be uncivil, rude, vulgar, profane, or otherwise disruptive to the conduct of the board's business. While all views and perspectives are welcome during public comment, be aware that speakers are personally responsible for their own expressions and comments. It's recommended that speakers refrain from commenting on unsettled claims or complaints and refrain from using names where possible. The board will accommodate public comment in person or virtually using the links published with the agenda. Speakers, whether in person or participating virtually, will be limited to 2 minutes for individuals or 5 minutes if the designated representative of a group of an organization. Microphones may be disabled at the end of time or failure to comply with adopted rules and regulations. We'll start with anyone in the room who wishes to provide public comment. Please go to the microphone, identify yourself and whether speaking as an individual or as the designated representative of a group.
This is awfully low. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Couple things. Number one,
If you
I
would
noticed.
please
Your name.
start with your
Oh,
name and-
I'm Nate. So under new business, it mentions confidentiality agreements. I might have missed that. What was going on with that?
Well, when we put the board in place, the Police Accountability Board and the ACC has access to all of that information that comes as a result of the investigation. Recently, I served as chair on this board, chair of this board and vice chair of the other board. And then I designated my vice chair here to serve on the other board. So and my access to all that information was cut off. So we just want to put in place to understand that this board should not have access to the information that's received as a result of the investigation. The only person on this board and at any one place in time is the person who's representing us on the PAB.
Okay.
And if I might add, Mr. Perrin, that if by chance we come across that type of information, that we'll preserve the confidentiality of the people that are named there.
Right.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Normally, we don't answer questions, but that one's warranted for clarification.
Appreciate it. You guys don't answer questions?
No, we normally take your comments and if there's a follow-up, we would do that.
I mean, earlier you mentioned that the thing can sometimes be a little bit confusing to the public. How are we supposed to learn if we don't ask questions? I'm not trying to be adversarial, just legitimately.
That's why I responded to that one for clarification.
Okay. So if it's
But
good
we-
enough,
we-
gotcha.
What I'm saying is don't expect us to respond to every comment, but if it's clarification, I would like to clarify it as soon as possible.
Okay. Well, hopefully you'll clarify this one for me a little bit. I was online, I was looking at all the different forms you can fill for a complaint, right? There's the PAB complaint form, there's a citizens feedback form. Within the citizens feedback form, there's informal complaints, mediation, supervisor review, and meet with deputy. Which of those fall under things that you are all looking at? I can read the list again if you'd like.
Well, I don't wanna get into you're taking your time with me, with us responding to it. I think staff can take that and clarify that piece.
I guess this sort of goes into that trending thing, which I think sounds like a wonderful idea of looking at the trending.
Mhm.
But if you're not looking at all these different things, you're limiting your sample size, which then means that you're not getting as much information, which means that you can't give as accurate of a response of what you think should be changed.
Okay. We have the citizens complaint form on our website. They fill it out, that comes to the PAB. PAB has 72 hours to get that over to the sheriff's office for investigation.
So you receive the citizens complaint form, but
Yes.
not if they choose to go through mediation or a supervisor review.
No, we'll get all the complaints that comes into the PAB. They can go directly to the sheriff's office with a complaint.
Okay, and you would see those as well.
We will see, not us, but the ACC would see those.
And then they would relay to you the pertinent information? Again, I'm not
Yes,
trying
yes.
to, I know you said you weren't getting into questions, I'm just trying to,
Well, I think it's helpful to clarify, because someone else may have the same question in this case. But that other form, the feedback form you talked about, that form comes out of the investigative process with the sheriff's office. So that information would come to the ACC as part of the investigation for the case.
and so if you were doing trending information, that information would then be included in that?
That information would be available to be included in that, yeah.
Okay, but not guaranteed?
No, if it's not relevant, then it would, but it would be part of the data that's collected to make those kinds of decisions.
Thank you, that's what I was asking. Thank you so much, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the room? Anyone online, please use the raise your hand function, or if you've dialed in, please press *9 to raise your hand. Mr. Chair, no one has raised their hand on.
Okay.
I have a quick comment. Can I go up really quick? Okay, thank you.
You would identify yourself?
Yes. Hi, I'm Sophie. My question, so you had mentioned that the mission of this board is to enhance the relationship between the public and the police, and I understand that. I just want clarification here. So the complaints that are brought forward, do the public have access to what those complaints are, or is it just like there's just a complaint? Because usually, when last time I came here, it was just a lot of numbers, and to me, I would like to see what the complaint was about, and also what the resolution and your recommendations are. And maybe there is a place for me to find that, but right now I have no idea. Because I think that knowing what recommendations are and what these complaints are builds trust within community and the police, and knowing what's happening. Because right now I have no idea.
Okay. When we get the complaints, we put the complaint, before we send it to the sheriff's office, we assign a number to it, and we put it into what we call the complaint tracker. That's online. That's part of that website you can access to input a complaint. You can also go out there and see the complaints and how they were disposed of. So that information will be all there.
Just dispose. What is dispose?
Dispose would mean whether it's someone was charged or not charged.
If
Or if it was, what do you call it? Not found, exonerated, whatever, however we came up with the decision, that would be there.
If there was the recommendation, do we know what that recommendation is?
Yeah,
A lot of the recommendations you're hearing here, so us as the PAB, we provide.
Like what the
recommendations
sheriff
on-
was saying earlier about,
Correct,
like
some
his
of
updates?
some of what he's already implemented came from recommendations from this board.
okay. I guess I'm
But
just,
there's two pieces, just to clarify it for you.
yeah,
The one piece is, after the investigation is completed by the sheriff's office, is sent to the administrative charging committee. The administrative charging committee is the group that reviews everything, the complaint and all the information as a result of the investigation, the findings. And then they make a decision whether, the first decision to make is whether to charge or not charge. If the decision is to not charge, then it stops right there, and it's probably exonerated or not found, okay? If it's charged, they decide to charge the person, then they have to go to the, what is called the statewide matrix, disciplinary matrix. And we have adopted that, and it shows you, you use that to come up with what the disciplinary action should be. Now, once they make that decision on what the disciplinary action is, it goes to the sheriff's office. It goes to the sheriff. The sheriff can look at that action, and he can increase it, but he cannot decrease it. So whatever action that comes out of the ACC, unless the sheriff wants to increase it, make it more severe, that's the action that stand, and that's what you would see on that complaint tracker, is that piece.
Okay.
The other piece is when we get information regarding these cases, we may make recommendations to the sheriff's office as to how we can improve that relationship, either by enhancing a policy, putting a policy in place.
Yeah, and that part, like, do we get to hear that part, like what those explicit recommendations were?
For each case, or?
Yeah, for each case even, sure.
You would see the status of that case on the tracker.
It's just a status, it's like a
No,
one-word status?
No. If the case was exonerated, you would see that, exonerated. If it was charged, you would see that it was charged. On that, it's a row in a pretty much a spreadsheet.
Mr. Parent, what she's, I think the clarifying point that she's asking is, once we get information and we decide that we want to recommend a process improvement or a new
Right.
policy, where is that information housed, where she can see what policies?
Yeah, like the more explicit, like I understand that part of it, that's like very straightforward, but
Right.
like maybe there's, yeah, like a policy, and I like, do I get to know what that was?
So the recommendations that like you see on here,
Okay.
where those come from, is that your question?
Where can she find like, a repository of the recommendations that we?
Is it-
Like
How we
if there was like an
receive
abuse of power and that was a consistent trend, it's like, what was your recommendation there if you're seeing this trending over and over again? I feel like, I mean, tonight I didn't hear it. I mean, I was looking at the tracker and I saw that come up like maybe, I don't know, a few times. And I didn't hear anything tonight about like abuse of power. I mean, because maybe that's not how you do it, but I guess I'm curious, like, well, what was the recommendation? Because I'm sure you gave them one.
Yeah, each case would get an individual recommendation.
Sure.
From the decision from the ACC, okay, which is a separate organization from
Yeah.
the PAB. And then how we get the recommendations that you see here on improvements is based on the discussion of the ACC and whether they feel there's a need to change a policy,
Yeah.
put a policy in place, okay? And when it comes here as a recommendation, we stay away from anything that can identify that complaint as unique, where someone can go and see that we are linking it to. We don't want to do that, because that information, in terms of who made the complaint and being able to see what happens, that information is in the tracker, and we don't discuss individual cases here.
Sure. So is there maybe then like an overarching, since we talked about earlier with the trending?
Yes.
So we'll, like, maybe next time I'll get to hear like an actual recommendation that you guys have for, if you guys create this committee, I'll hear some of these about what was done.
It may or may not be the next meeting, but it would be probably in the August meeting.
Okay.
In the May meeting, because we just put the committee together tonight.
Yeah.
They have to look at it and see if this is a viable way in order, can we get information out of here to enable us to make better decisions?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I understand not going like individual, because maybe like even like the victim might not want to have their information out, but I think like overarching, I would love to hear like what's being done. I think that builds trust within our community. My last comment really quick, last session, I think I think it could have been handled a lot better how we went about talking about Angel Jimenez. I understand that this board maybe doesn't have the scope to talk about it, but I think that we could have been directed somewhere. Like, if you serve the public, I would think that you'd be like, I understand you, I hear where you're coming from, I think you should talk to here, here's a website, here's an email, here's a phone number. I feel like everybody in the room was kind of shot down, and that like just left a bad taste in my mouth. So I just would have and I mean, it's such a sensitive topic too, and I think it was kind of handled poorly, honestly. And also, I think the whole 2-minute thing, I understand, because like, you know, you gotta keep it rolling, but when, you know, the sister was in here and she's being cut off, I'm like,
Mr. Chair, if I could, there are a couple, and thank you very much for your comments, but we're getting way beyond 2 minutes. For the public's information, Calvert County MD for Maryland.gov/PAB will give access to any member of the public that wishes to look at the history of the creation of the Police Accountability Board and the Administrative Charging Committee, as well as that tracker, as well as your upcoming agendas, because tonight's agenda did have 2 recommendations that came forward. So correctional officers, correctional deputies are not within the scope and never will be. So thank you for your comments. We do not have anyone else online.
Okay, I just think the woman could have been given more grace, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, no one else?
Okay, then we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to adjourn. The meeting stands adjourned. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I will not be here for the last meeting, but I'll guarantee you I'm out there having fun somewhere.